Okay, so maybe now I can add them. Hopefully they are on. I cannot use my laptop. I don't know where I'm even going. Let me see if I can tag them. Search Ryan. Oh, somebody help me. I want to have help when it comes to electronics here. Let me tag them and see if they can come on. I tagged them. Let's see if they can come on. Yeah, you get to see. So my Wi-Fi is gone. Where are you, Danny? Nobody else here, huh? If you're there, please let me know so I can add you and we can finish this awesome conversation. This just my crazy TikTok, naked talk. Yeah, we were talking about relationships and how those are sometimes can be challenging, but we sometimes don't even recognize it and we don't want to accept it because that will mean having to do a lot of work, and the work is what's going to make that relationship worth it or not. And yeah, and the work is necessary in order to thrive together, especially when you're dealing with another person. You have to work on yourself first and then come into the relationship with full of your own beliefs and having your values set, so you can then pair up with the values of that other person and go from there. I'm definitely having technical difficulties. For the Wi-Fi was dropped in my house, but I'm trying to see if I can get this couple back on and we can finish our interview. That was so wonderful. I looked so much forward to it because we were going to speaking about relationship, which is one of my topics of passion and energy, because I feel we are. Say hi if you're there. I know this is me trying to finish my live interview that I had with Dr. Ryan and his beautiful wife, Tracy. I don't see them on. Maybe they're having. So good afternoon, Donna. Nice to see you here. And yes, so if you have any concerns about relationships or questions, please send them my way. While I try to get them on camera, we can answer those. And yes, today, like I mentioned before, I'm going to be giving away my free video series on how to get the love you want. So definitely, yes, having some problems with Xfinity. I'm getting texts here because people cannot watch me. So if you want those video series, definitely PM me and I will send you the links so you can get them right away and start enjoying that, because it starts with you. It's not going to be from the person next to you. It's going to start with you. And then oh, there you go. So let me see if I can bring them on camera. This is going. Oh, I'm trying to bring them on. I think the Wi-Fi has been dropping. I was able to do a complete interview early on today, and this one was look at it.
We're back.
Thank you. It's very weak here, and Wi-Fi
is Miami.
Otherwise.
Guys here.
It's cutting out a little bit. Can you hear me talk?
I could hear you. Hold on a second.
That's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's way better.
That is way better. All right, you guys, finish telling us what you were telling us, because let's just resume here on our conversation and what it needs.
Okay, so I have no idea where I got cut off, but the nutshell of it, one of the things that we found works really well for us is we meet. Talk about blooper reel.
Your dog is barking too?
No, I love it.
It's just mine. Oh, I hear it on the speaker.
Yeah, I hear it.
It's crazy.
So the thing that's worked the best for us and continues to work really well is when we meet every Friday for about 2 hours and we go through what's working, what's not working. We go through our week and strategize. What doesn't work is when we miss our date night. So we have a date night. Well, actually, we have 2 date nights per week. They're slightly different. Wednesdays is dinner. Fridays is something that we really have a strategy behind. We can share what we're currently doing.
Yes.
I organize 1 date night per month, and I create it. I organize the babysitter. I get everything organized. She doesn't get to know. I've got one tonight. It's a really good one. She's kind of annoyed with me about what's going to happen tonight, but she has no idea what she has in plan. So, and then she organizes 1 date night per month, and then the 2 other weeks, typically, we do massages followed by dinner, and we do a float tank followed by dinner, which we just love doing those dates, so we've kept them consistent. But when we miss a date night, when we miss what we call church, because we do it every week religiously is the token. When we miss those things, guess what happens to our connection?
It fades.
So that's
Yeah.
it's one of the most difficult things that we have when in busy lives. Our kids are 8 and 9. They're busy in dance, hockey, lacrosse. They're all over the place with different activities. You add all these different pieces into our lives, and if you don't have a strategy, or I find when we don't have strategies set in place for our connection, and you try to fit it into your week, you get to your date night and then you look at each other and go, hey, hun, what do you want to do? Yeah. And you just end up staring at your telephones. You end up completely, as much as you're there presently, you're disconnected, you're exhausted, you're trying to fit each other in. It's just like business. If you don't have strategies in place and you don't do the work involved in order to show up and be able to do it, it's no different in your relationships. It's no different in fulfillment. It's no different in your workout strategies during the week. So you ask the question, what isn't working, and what isn't working from time to time is when we look at each other and tell each other stories and lies about why we can't make it work this week. Yeah. Why the babysitter is sick. Canceled. There's always something that can get in the way. The question becomes, how do you strategize to make it so consistent that you continue to build and grow together? That's been one of the biggest challenges I think that we face that may be consistent amongst a lot of your viewers, for example. Do you want to?
No, I was going to say the same thing. If I know the moment we don't have a date night that week, or if it's a consistent, that we just miss our date nights, that will eventually separate again. It is our connection piece every week, and same with church. It's our kind of our business time, and then I always say, Ryan, I need you to take off your business hat, and I need you to be my husband now during our date night. So, yeah, I think being busy in business, busy with the children, date night has become a huge, important piece for us. So,
well, I think that
does that help?
I think that
yes. Very, very, very helpful.
Very helpful.
I think I'm gonna take up.
Is better. Something's wrong. Yes.
Aura, I can't hear you. Sorry, I lost you again. Put your earphones back. I think it helped last time.
My system's in place when I have bloopers are not set, I guess.
No way. Bloopers are the best.
Oh yeah, I have if I could become famous by bloopers, I will be number one. But yeah.
Bloopers are the best when you're swearing and when you're naked. Come on, that's the way that it is.
Let's get naked. Okay, so naked talking about this relationship thing. To be real. Excuses just like you say can always come. Just like going to your mastermind, just like doing the training with your staff, just like doing your journal, reading, praying, whatever. There's so many excuses that can come in the way. But when you have your why, I feel like that couples need to find their why and their anchor, which I'm sure you're using that wire, right? Some kind of an anchor that keeps you coming back and doing it, even if you don't want to. Because you'll get into it eventually. And this goes even, I'm going to say it, this goes even for sex people. You know, just start. You get into it. I mean, I don't think I've ever spoken about sex on this program, but why not? So I think it's so crucial that you're having sex. It's important. So I'm going to say it. Okay. So what is your, if you had to go back to that, what would be your why or your anchor or that thing that you keep coming back to that keeps you strong on the system?
Do you want to answer that one?
You go ahead.
Okay, so this is a great question that we ask in Men of Iron. So ultimately, it all comes back to your foundation. So you can't build anything in business. You can't build anything in your family. You can't build anything that's fulfilling. You can't build your body unless you've got some form of a strong foundation. So the why that I always come back to, and I had to find it in my biggest, deepest, darkest pit, was when I had actually allowed my family to crumble. And what I recognized that when my family, when we aren't absolutely working, and that includes collision on a regular basis, when this isn't strong, when my relationships with my kids is not strong, nothing else matters because there's nothing else that I can build upon it. It gets everything, like it's that strong foundation for us that helps to serve that. Now, I mean, you can look at different relationships in different ways, because we all have different ways to connect in. But for us, the why comes down to we're doing it for the strength of our foundation, and that happens to be our family unit. That's our why. Now, we've each got our own purposes. I mean, Tracy can talk a lot about in Ed Osborne's Inner Circle group. She's got a passion for gut health and nutrition coaching, etc., because she has her own story around that. I have been struggling through trying to figure out and navigate how I do and manage it all. I still remember when we got together, I said, kids? No. Marriage? No. Because I wasn't ready to package all the things together, because I didn't think that I had the foundation set to be able to provide and to be able to participate at that level. So I've constantly been asking myself, how do we do this? I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars we've spent, different coaching systems that we've applied to, that we've gone and learned all the strategies just so that we can function as a family unit. So I like to help, like you, I like to help people go from wherever they're surviving, and I like to help them thrive. But it comes down to figuring out, like you said, where's your foundation? You got to start down in a foundation so that you can move towards more of your passion piece. So our why is our family. It's us. That's our why. And then the purpose, each of us have our own individual purpose that lights us on fire. And that's the thing. If you don't have fire somewhere burning inside of you, it's tough to stay engaged through those darker, harder times.
And family wasn't a huge value of Ryan's when I first met him. Family has always been a huge value of mine. I feel like it's become stronger, but when we were crumbling and our family was falling apart and I was keeping us together ultimately, family, you learned that family actually is what was the foundation of us, of our kids, of our entire world, really.
Yeah, I think as a male provider, I would have to say that my feeling was, and again, this is quite common, is that I become the ATM card. I become the provider. That's how I love, is by going and providing. And I will work my ass off to make sure that my kids have clothes, my family has food on the table. I will go and grind to the point of starvation for myself, for my inner self, right? And this is the part that I was blind to, was that I will grind and grind and grind and grind, and I will absolutely destroy the foundation that is required to actually build anything upon. So,
I mean, that is so important, and obviously you have to have your foundation first in order for you to give to others. And I see a lot of couples that are always, no, the children go first, especially women. Children, you know? And I'm like, no, you got this all wrong. And if you want to be a good mother and a good wife, you better take care of yourself first, then come close with him, and then the children will be fine, but not the children first. And I adore my kids. Hey, I have amazing children, and I love it, but I raised them this way. Mom needs to be healthy, mind, body, and soul, in order to provide for you and the rest of the world. But we have to have that foundation completely clear. So I love that. You have to go back to the basics.
Yeah, we struggled, and I know that you struggled with this for a long time. I like to call it mother's martyrdom, Aura. We take care of everyone else first, and we struggle. We feel validated for struggling and suffering, right? Well, the reality of it is, we teach something called kings and queens fuel. There's no way that you can do the fight and keep going on a daily basis and be able to provide and actually be present for your children, like you said, without being completely filled back up. You have to stop and refuel, and each of us gets fueled slightly differently.
Yeah. But that has to be set. So I love the systems. You gotta have obviously getting into the systems in order to love yourself first and heal yourself first, so you can then add the other things in order to keep building around the relationships. I find that relationship with God for me first, then the relationship with yourself, then the relationship with my inner circle, and then it keeps going out in outer layers. But the first one needs to be healed first if I want to add more systems. If not, the whole thing is gonna crumble. And you can't give what you don't own, right? It's just like the pain. Put your mask first, then the child if you don't want him to be without a mother. So those are great things. What other tips you can give our audience? Because I have to go pick up my kids at some point, and it's just rapidly. And what tips would you want to give? There's so many questions I have for you guys. That you can have for relationships. And I know you do a lot of gut health, and I want to get to that. I think I want to just interview you on gut health another time just by yourself, because I love having ladies on my show. But this was wonderful. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry for all the bloopers, but the information gets out there into the world. The universe knows our intention was right. So what other tips would you give out of the systems that you use, that you teach, for other couples that might be like you and not even say it and appear to the world that everything is perfect, because we all live in this imposter life, right? What can you say to them that they can start doing right away? Because I love the tips that can be useful in order to reinforce their foundation and grow into the best relationship they can have with each other.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned through this whole process of really Ryan burning it down last year, or us burning it down last year, was just I found my voice. So now, even when we collide or we fight, I no longer accept just his words. It's like, well, here's how I'm feeling, and I'm allowed to feel this way. But also,
you feel confident in being able to have those conversations.
The boundaries. Like for a long time, I would accept what the person was saying and, quiet my own voice around that and just take that at face value. And now I'm like, no, actually, here are my boundaries, here are my values, and here's what I'm willing to put up with and what I'm not. So for us, what's become really important was him needing to hear my voice and hear my boundaries around certain things and what will be okay in our relationship and what's not.
Yeah.
I love that.
For a long time, her biggest thing was that if I speak up, he's going to leave me, right? But not having a safe place to be able to trust that you can voice your stuff. That's a very difficult thing, I think, for a lot of people. It's very vulnerable. It's very naked, if we may. And that's been a huge point for us to be able to get to as well. Trust is a huge issue, right?
Yeah, it needs to be a safe house that you can come up in there, and if you need certain times, you're going to come in, this is the time that I'm just going to let it all out. It's just like in chiropractic, we want to express and not repress. Same in relationships, same thing. You got to let it all out so you feel relief, you feel heard, you feel valued, you feel validated. You don't want to just be heard, right? And especially when we're sharing with that loved one without the fear of having them leave us. So congratulations on that. So many women will be blessed to hear that, because so many women are like that. They don't say it, they don't want to admit it, but they are like that. And they don't know they are just killing the little person inside that is dimming their light, their buzz, their passion, their purpose. And even if they go through the motions of being a mom, a wife, a blah, 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 they're miserable inside. And they do crazy things. So that is amazing. How did you come into that realization? What pushed you to get over that fear?
One of our business coaches told me I kept putting my cape on, and I kept being the superwoman, the perfectionism, the mask that I put up this, everything's great, everything's happy, I'm super happy all the time, and wanting to be a good wife to support my husband, wanting to be a good mom to support my children, but losing myself in that. And so this past year has been really about finding myself and my voice again, and not just putting my cape on every time he's struggling with something or my kids are struggling with something.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I think what happens is we all end up putting like you said, putting a mask on, right? We act the way that we feel that we're supposed to act, say what we're supposed to say, and inside we know that we're an imposter. We know that we're essentially lying to ourselves and to our partner, but it's very, very difficult initially to stop these little lies that we say lies, but it's just not telling our truth, right? It's very, very difficult to be that level of vulnerable.
That's what being naked is all about. Being your best self. And people are going to love you, you're going to love you, but you got to be true to yourself. Because that's when you're going to shine brighter. For you first. And for the rest. The light cannot be dimmed. So thank you for sharing that. Yes.
I got one more for you. This is for more, I would say this is more for the men that are out there. But one of the things that I've had to learn again is if I go to the gym every day, I can see results in my body. Okay? If I go to work every day, I can see results with my business. But if I do not have a form of connection with my family on a daily basis, what happens to my connection? So one of the things that I have learned and what we practice is we call it daily deposits. I have I have a green juice every morning for my body. I exercise every morning. I go to work. I study. I learn. I teach just like this. But I also I've learned that I leave little notes for my kids every morning. Whether it's a sticky note or a piece of hockey tape stuck to the wall. They get up every morning looking for this little note that comes from Daddy because I leave before they're awake. But it's that form of connection. With Tracy.
Morning and a coffee.
Yeah, so for Tracy, do you teach the love languages at all? Is that something you guys teach? Yes. So learning how Tracy and I receive love has also been important because I will always love the way that I receive love. That was another big thing for me. So I would get up in the morning and I would do a whole bunch of things thinking that would be something that she would recognize, not recognizing that that's necessarily the way that she appreciates love. I didn't even realize that I love words of affirmation. I love when people encourage me, but she can't say it to me. It has to come secondarily. So I also learn with her, she likes that. So I'll tell my kids, go tell mommy that daddy said this. And she'll hear it from the kids and it changes her physiology. But learning how to do those forms of communication, daily deposits, something every single day that brings you into the awareness of love within their language is something that's absolutely like, you can't build a body, you can't build a business, you can't build a relationship without some form of daily connection. It doesn't have to be a ton, but a text, a quick video message, a note left on the counter, something written, just some little thing that's just like, hey, I acknowledge you for this. I love you for this. I appreciated this. Some little piece. For me, I joke and say that I was raised in a locker room where everybody swears and yells and everything's angry. So things like gratitude and meditation didn't come naturally to a hockey guy. I just wanted to punch and fight. But the reality of it is these little tiny little daily deposits make a bigger difference than hitting a home run out of the yard. It's just small, consistent daily actions. And
that's the perfect word.
It just took a ton of time for me to implement it and get consistent with it. And just like anything else, you can do that for a month, but if you don't keep it up, backwards. Happens in business, it happens in January. How many people are going to get into a New Year's resolution, hit the gym hard for a month, and then say, oops, sorry. But the reality of it is, it's all just about simple, daily, consistent habits.
I think that's it. We're going to call it daily consistent habits. That is a course right there. Daily consistent habits. Just tag it right there. Because it's so important. It's going to take the addition of all that. That is in the details. And it's those tiny details that are going to help with the crap of the day. Because we're all going to have that. But those tiny details for me is just, yes, for me it's physical touch. So it's just even a touch. It's just even, and yes, little notes or a little acts of service also help because I'm just so busy with everything. So that's how I like to receive love, and you have to find out the other person. And when you communicate, you feel each other's stance, and then you're so much better when you're next to each other, and you can just be next to each other without doing or saying anything. Because a lot of men out there think we need huge presence, and we like the presence. But that might not be her love language. It might be the tiny things that don't cost you anything that are going to build her tank. Keep doing it. Keep loving you, loving your children, and balancing it all. Balance is a bad word in my book. This is just like but you make the best out of you can with the systems that you created by consistent daily details. I love that. Thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to cut this naked TikTok because I have to go pick up my children, who are my biggest treasures. And we need to continue this conversation. If you want more relationship help, definitely PM me. I'm giving away for Christmas my course on how to get the love you want. And I'm sure you're going to put your links here and share on your pages. I love and appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing you again. Keep doing the work. We need more couples speaking out and doing it. Thank you. Happy holidays.